Good morning, everybody. Happy 2020. Yes, we've got a whole new growing year to play with. Love it. So, today I am in my heap of chaos. What I'm going to do is probably going to take me best part of today. Well, at least best part of this morning. It's quite early still. Excuse me, I've got my early morning voice on. Let's have a quick slog. It's so dark in the mornings at the moment. But never mind, there are things we can do and we just have to put up with the lighting as it is. So everything that's in front of me, and I've got a few beans here and some more jars of things down at the shed which I need to think about. But basically, everything, today is the day when I plan in order to grow food to sustain me for an entire year. This is it. This is all it takes. Yay! And a bit of work in the garden as the year goes on. And speaking of that, one of the reasons I'm going to do this today is, well, it needs doing. I need to assess to see what seeds I have or haven't got. Do I need to order any more of that later? But also because I've hardly been in the garden at all since I was right at the beginning of December. And I fear that those broad beans I re-sowed and put chilli on, they've probably all gone by now, because I haven't been down there to reapply chilli. I've had a couple of visits just for harvesting, but I don't know, throughout the whole of December we had so many rain days, and it just makes it utterly unpleasant to do any of the work. But also my knees were awful, absolutely awful through December. Yes, don't worry, I'm trying to get hold of a doctor and see if I can make an appointment to see if there's something else I can do or be doing. But anyway, the point is, I'm doing this today because I'm hoping that partly by doing this, it will give me that kind of, to get back to the garden and to get stuck into all the December jobs, because I'm very behind. But never mind. I made a bit of a decision. I think it was about the 10th or 11th of December. Feeling sort of slightly guilty about not being in the garden. Trying to wedge days in where, for instance, if it was a dry day, thinking I'll try to go to the garden today, but then, oh no, I've got to go to my great aunt. And it just became so chaotic that in the end, like I say, it was about the 10th of December, I just said, do you know what, Vivi? Leave the garden. Just leave it. What's the worst that can happen? A couple of weeds grow. A couple of my beds aren't covered. Sometimes you just got to say, stuff it, walk away, do something else. As long as you're productive, do something else, come back to it when you're ready. So hopefully, after I've done all this, I'll feel ready for the garden. So what is all this chaos? Oh my goodness. I think today I'm probably going to end up making 2 videos because there's quite a lot to do this morning. But essentially, like I say, this is me. I'm going to do my plan for the garden and then look at the seeds. So all I have each year is, I've got a beautiful one this year. I've got a new calendar. Can you see that? Really lovely gift from Richard and Paul. Thank you guys. What I love, so firstly, it's printed on recycled paper and it's vegetable inks. So this can go in the compost bin at the end of the year. Although actually some of the images are so beautiful, I might want to keep them and pin them in the shed. But it's really sweet because for each month it says what to sow, what to harvest, and tips for the month. Where did you guys get it? I think it might have come from Real Seeds. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see what they're suggesting as the months go by. I think quite often, let's just have a little look at May. I think quite often I do things a bit later than other folk. What to sow. Oh my goodness, the what to sow list in May is massive. Yeah, so I've got my calendar to hand. Once I've done my plan, once I've gone through all my seeds and I know what I'm sowing, I will then work out when I want to do my sowings. So there will be some sowings indoors here at home. There'll be some sowings for the cold frame. There'll be some sowings which I do direct in the ground. And generally what I'll do on my calendar is, say in the Sunday box, I'll just make a note of what needs sowing that week. So once I've gone through all my seeds, I'll have an idea of what I need to sow that month. And then I'll just break it down because I know I'm not going to sow everything in one day. So I'll just break it down and have sowings throughout the month. So I definitely need my calendar to hand. My trusty garden notebook. Oh look, there's a plan from whenever, a couple of years. Oh, you can't see because of the light, can you? Oh, sorry. This, I just keep really, really brief notes these days. I don't know if you're going to be able to make that out. But for example, that's last year. I'll just make a note of the day I've sown something and the day of germination and the day of either putting it in, if it's a home sown something or other, the day I've taken it to the garden and put it in the cold frame, or the day I've put it into the garden itself. Really, I used to keep much more extensive notes, but really I just want to know, when did I plant, when did it germinate, when did it go into the garden. The rest, in terms of how well or not it did, I just remember, I think, actually let me take my speckles off. I think we all get to that stage where I think it's really useful in the first couple of years to keep more thorough notes, just because it's not, if you've never grown before, it's not going to be sort of in there, it's not actually in there, it's not innate in you. Whereas after a few years, you'll find, I hope you find anyway, that just the briefest of notes will do. So my notebook to hand, I've got my seed catalogues, that's an old one. So these have come through and it's reminded me that I need to get in touch with the companies to say, don't send me a paper copy anymore, I can do it all online. Brilliant. So I've got the Organic Gardening Catalogue, Real Seeds, which are my kind of pretty much preferred company now. They're online, I just use them online. And then the other thing is the Seed Cooperative, brilliant. Love this organisation because everything, there's full traceability with everything. They're organic, biodynamic, It's not a glamorous catalogue, no pictures, that's fine. I know what plants look like. So I've got my catalogues to hand. Just to say with the Organic Gardening Catalogue, I've used them so much over the years and I've never had any complaints at all about any of the seeds I've had from them. Or for instance, I get my seed potatoes from them and I get my onion sets from them. I've never had any complaints. Brilliant. I've noticed over the last couple of years, and especially this year, there's masses and masses of stuff in here. It's just not organic. I don't know why they're calling themselves the Organic Gardening Catalogue anymore. Now listen, I'm not going to go on one. This isn't politics. It's just my passion and where I'm coming from. But unless your stock is organic, you can't call yourself organic. And a couple of days ago, I did an order with them because I had a discount code, a discount of £5, a nice discount. So I did my order. At that stage, I hadn't done this, still haven't done this, but at that stage I didn't know what seeds, if any, I wanted, other than I knew I wanted my spuds and my onion sets. So I went ahead, did my order, brilliant, got me £5 off, yay, fantastic. I got my email confirmation through, I do it all online, had my email confirmation through, and it turns out I've ordered Anya, which is my salad potato, and Cara, which is my main crop potato, plus my red and white onions. The Anya aren't organic. I've ordered non-organic seed potatoes. if I'd spotted that, I simply wouldn't have ordered them. I would have either ordered something else that was organic or looked for a different company to do them organic. So for me, I think that might have been my last ever order with them. My being organic, just to say very quickly, it's not just about my garden. You know, if you think about how tiny my garden is, 100 square metres, the seed companies are on acres and acres and acres of land. So actually what they do is probably even more important than what I do in my tiny space. So yeah, it's great that I'm organic. I'm looking after that tiny bit of environment. But if I'm buying non-organic stock, seeds, what have you, then I might as well not be organic in my garden, because whatever they're doing on their acres and acres, the only way I can control that or have any say about that is by simply not buying it. Promote and support organic. There's a part of me which wants to support the organic side of the business still, to sort of almost to say to them, look, there is a need for it, we do want it, but on the other hand, they're no longer an organic company. So anyway, that's all I shall say on that matter. Right, all the other bits on the table, that is my reminder that yes, we're at that time of year, aren't we, when we need to start saving our loo rolls. Fantastic little seed starting pots, either left whole, things which like a nice long root, so peas, sweet peas, some of your beans. For me, they're great for flint corn. If it's something that doesn't need a long root trainer, just cut it in half. You've got 2 seed pots, yay! So yeah, start saving now, because where are we? Beginning of January. By the end of March, we'll be using them like Billy-O. So that's 3 months, 12 weeks of loo rolls. I'm just trying to think how many I get through. I should have probably started saving earlier, but never mind, I'll start saving now. Then, right, seeds. So, I keep 2 tins of seeds. There's tins in my shop if you need some tins. I have 1 for my veggies and 1 for my flowers and herbs. Just keeps things more simple, because I love my flowers and herbs and I want to have lots in the garden, but if I'm really pushed and time and prioritising, this is the tin I go to. That's the important tin. They don't look very big, do they? Don't forget all my beans. Beans, so many beans. I keep in the jars just because they're so big. But yeah, I think it's fair to say that I'm not a seed hoarder. I can't bear seed hoarding. Please don't hoard seeds. Please give them to people who need them, because there's always someone else out there, whether it's a community garden, whether it's a fellow plotter, there's always someone worse off than us who would just be so happy to have some of your spare seeds. So yeah, I've got my seed tins. They will come into action shortly. I've got random packets of seeds all over the place. These are in my bureau. So these are some of my saved seeds. So it's peppers, tomatoes, all sorts of random bits and bobs. So today is about gathering all those bits together, because the reason some of them are just randomly about the flat and not in the tin is because the tin lives in the shed. And then I bring it home at this time to do everything. So up to this point, the tin's been in the shed, so every time I'm saving seeds, they just end up all over the place in the flat. I've got my seed envelopes ready, and some really lovely ones that were gifted to me last year, because I do have quite a few seeds from my garden that I saved, which I've promised to other people. Also on the table, I've got all sorts of missed scraps of notes I've made throughout the year, including friends that I'm hopefully sending spare seeds to, and what they wanted. That's that. I've got jottings throughout the year when I thought, oh, maybe I should grow such and such next year. So I just make a note of it, and then when it comes to me now doing my plan, I can look to see with those things I thought maybe I'd like to have a go. Will there be room for them? Scraps of notes. And then I've also got, I've got just all sorts of random, well, they're not round, but these are all sorts of seeds that have been given to me. Some from you guys, thank you so much. Some from plot friends, what have you. So for instance, I'm just looking now, this is from Marie. Where's Marie? Is she in? Oh, this is in the UK. I showed you these, I think, at some point. This is some purple sprouting broccoli and some, yes, this is the Gardener's Ecstasy, which is one up from Gardener's Delight. First we have Delight, then we have Ecstasy. So as they've come in over the course of the last few months, I'm just seeing now as well, that's some sunflower seeds. I don't know where I'm going to put sunflowers. I'm going to try and find somewhere. These are from Nick's Allotment Diary on YouTube. So I saw Nick at the Malvern show, gave me a packet of seeds. Thanks, Nick. Literally, as all of these have come in, I haven't done anything with them. I haven't organised them, sorted them, anything, because, basically, I've been too busy doing other stuff, and I know that this is the point in the year when I will have my sit down and try to get organised in some way or other. I'm just seeing this is purple red noodle bean, yard long bean. Sorry, the light is so terrible today, isn't it? I'm sorry. If I could switch the sun on, I would. Oh my goodness, so many. And there were a couple which, as they came in, I mentioned at the time, including asparagus, and I'm so grateful to be sent all sorts of different seeds, but there are some I just know that I won't grow purely because of space. 100 square metres, that's it. I have to be selective. So today, as part of my seed sort, literally every single spare seed I've got will be going to, there's a couple of places they're going this year. One is the local community garden near me that works with patients with mental health disorders. They are prescribed gardening, which I think is just wonderful. And then some of the others will be going up to a church that are developing a community garden as well. So, first things first, I'm going to bring you in closer. I'm going to do my plan. And I thought this year, blank paper at the moment, I thought this year I would do it sort of in real time with you, because I think for some folk who have never planned a garden before, or maybe had your first garden last year, it might just be, I hope it's interesting to see how I do it and how I think as I'm doing it. So deep breath, without further ado, come on, let's get on with this plan for 2020 for food for the whole year. So excited already. Okay, let's get stuck in. Now, this isn't going to be pretty or neat particularly. Oh, wrong end of pen. Goes wrong straight away. It's not going to be pretty or neat, but that doesn't matter. Whooply. It's just a purely practical exercise. When the very first year I had the garden, I did my plan. Oh my goodness me. I had studied calligraphy at night school. So I did the plan for the garden. Everything was labelled in the most beautiful calligraphy. Sorry, I should just say, these are my 4 big beds. I'm just going to divide them into their 5 little beds. Yeah, I did the whole plan and everything was labelled with beautiful calligraphy. 1, 2, 3. And then I watercoloured the whole thing. It was very, very pretty, but time consuming and completely unnecessary. So the thing about having my 4 big beds is I have made life much easier for myself by doing it, because I work a 4-year rotation. So very simply, each year everything hops over one bed. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, everything hops over one bed. So actually getting the plan done is really relatively easy and quick. It's just that thing of when I'm trying to introduce new plants into the scheme. So that's number 4, 3, 2, 1. So to orientate you, how do you need to see it like that? This, at this far edge here, this is the main path. So for example, here on the corner, that's my little number sign and my tree lily. One thing I always have to put onto the plan in bed number 4 is my rose bush, because it does impact on what I can grow there. So for example here, just on the edge here, that's my cold frame and the herb bed. Okay, so first things first, the bean arches. So this year, last year, it's going to take a while, isn't it? 2019, I had the bean arches down this path and this path. So they all need to hop a bed. So everything hops this way. So the arches that were here are going to hop a bed. So they're going to be here. So I know this is my beans. And the arches that were here, they hop a bed, which means come down here. There's no space next to the cold frame, so they'll come between these 2 beds. So they don't quite get a 4-year rotation, obviously. It's only a 2-year rotation. Now, that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4 planting rows for my climbing beans. So I know that I want to do gigantes on this row, coming down here. They were really good this year, again, and I really love them as a bean. So if I've got enough seed, how can you see that? I don't know, let me bring you around a bit maybe. I'm actually going to try and get 2 rows in. The other thing that did really well was my Sophie. So I'm definitely going to be having another row of them, and for each row there'll be either 14 or 15 canes in here, and for each cane I'll plant 2 plants, so in theory 28, 30-ish plants for each row. This row of beans I haven't quite decided yet. I had a lot of different types of, I've just remembered. Right, you see, this is why I do the plan. So the gigantes, where I've got the 2 rows of gigantes here, I'm going to do gigantes and Trail of Tears, because they were great for me last year. I'm going to see if I can wriggle you around a bit. Hang on a tick. I'm trying to make it a bit easier for you to see, but the tripod's in the way. Yes, so the Trail of Tears this last year gone were fantastic. I had fantastic harvest from them, both fresh and for drying. So a row of gigantes, half a row of gigantes, and the rest Trail of Tears, or maybe even a third of gigantes. The Cocoa Sophie, and then an other. Haven't decided quite what yet. Now the rest of the plan should be relatively straightforward. So what was in bed 1 this year is going to go to bed 4. Now that should be, tomatoes and tomatoes, but obviously the rose bush is in the way. So this year I'm going to actually just bring the tomatoes down to the front of the bed. I call this the front of the bed because this is actually facing south. This side of the bed is south, that's north. Ideally I'd want my shorter things at the front so that as the sun's coming down they all get a good soaking of sun, but actually they should be fine there, which then means I'm going to have my peppers and my cukes there, and then this will be squash that I'm growing horizontally. So I know what I want to grow and where I want to grow it. The fine tuning when I get into my seed box later will be what variety. That's all it boils down to, really. For instance, this year I didn't grow any Rouge Vif de Tempe, which is the beautiful, massive Cinderella type pumpkin. They aren't very practical for me because they're so big, but on the other hand, they're so beautiful to watch growing. And I want to have that beauty in the garden again. We'll see, maybe I'll do one by the kale, I'm not sure. So then it's really simple. What was in bed 4 becomes bed 3. So that will be, carrots and leeks. This year I did the leeks differently in so much as I direct sowed them. Last year, I can't get there yet. I did them as a direct sowing and I had them out when they were really little and skinny, much as you would say a spring onion, packed full of flavour, which was gorgeous. But basically I had them out before the winter, before the second dose of allium leaf miner could come along. It worked really well. I really liked it. I'm going to replicate that this year. So then we're going to have onions red, onions white. What goes in here? So at the moment I've got garlic and what have I got here? Oh, this is purple sprouting broccoli. So this is where you need to get a bit canny with your planning. The garlic will come out in about the end of May. The purple sprouting broccoli will come out at about the end of April. So what can I put in those two places? In the past, I've had my celery here and my flint corn here. I actually want to swap those two over. However, I need to get the celery in before the garlic comes out. So this is a note to myself for this year, is when I plant the garlic, so the garlic is currently in here in bed 3, which is where I planted it October 2019. In October 2020, they'll get planted here in bed 2 as part of the rotation. But actually, I want to make sure I put them into this bed so that the flint corn that follows in this year, this is getting confusing, isn't it? Right. Basically, I don't want to put flint corn here this year, but that's the only place I've got for it. So I'm planning ahead already for 2021. So that this autumn, 2020 autumn, instead of putting the garlic here, when my spuds come out, I want to put it there, so that when the garlic comes out, the flint corn will be at the back of the bed. Does that make sense? And that flint corn I'm talking about is going to be the flint corn of 2021. For this year, I have to stick with celery there. So I'm going to just make a note to myself, garlic, October 2020, for flint corn, 2021. That might seem a little bit confusing, it might seem a bit over the top, it might seem, I don't know, it might seem bonkers to everybody, but I just find, excuse me, I'm going to have a gulp. I just find by doing this that I really can make the most of my small space. It really does pay off for me to have a clear plan. So what was in bed 3 goes into bed 2, so that will be spuds and spuds. So what I want to make sure is that these are my new, no, garlic goes after the main, so I want my main crops in here. So the main crops were here last year, that's why the garlic followed them, because the purple sprouting broccoli followed the new potatoes and it needed to go in much sooner. So this will be new potatoes this year, and then next year, 2021, it will be purple sprouting broccoli. Is this making sense? I hope this is making sense. So potatoes, this will be bush beans, that's almost certainly going to be all Rockencore again, because it's such a great yield, beautiful, beautiful bean, and I've managed to save so many seeds. Great. This will be chickpeas again. This year though, I am going to pick them green and freeze them rather than leave them for the pesky mice. And then in front will be parsnips. And finally, Esther, next year this will be the cathedral bed. So I know I'm going to have squash on my teepees. Which variety yet, I don't know. So I'm just going to say squash for now. The cream of the crop that I planted this year, they were a really lovely squash and did really well, but they were a sprawler rather than a climber. So I might bring a butternut over here and put the cream of the crop down under the rose bush. What else did I have in this bed? Oh, brain don't want to work now. I can't actually think. What's missing? Oh, I know. So this is going to be a change this year. So I have my lentils. I think I might do them again. And then I had that row of peas, and there's some experimental beans behind. Well, the experimental beans, not doing them again, yield was rubbish. I'm glad to have tried them. Thank you for letting me have seed. But I'm just, this one bed here, that's my big question mark bed. And at the moment, I don't think I've got any pea seeds, so I might not have peas next year, although they are gorgeous, aren't they? They're always gorgeous fresh peas. Oh, fennel, that was what I was thinking. Where was my fennel this year? 2019, the fennel was it was under the rose bush, next to the celery. Am I going to do fennel next to the celery? Again, possibly. Anyway, look, I've got this one bed. So this bed is about 4 metres long by 1 metre and a bit, as all my little beds are now. So it's a chunk of space to play with. Oh, I know. This is broad beans, if the mice have left any. Broad beans at the moment, and it will become my coco de pampol, my most favourite, most important crop. And by the way, just a note on the coco de pampol. I am hoping to have some spare to, I was going to say sell, it's not really sell. Oh, I'll come to that in a minute. Let's just finish the plan. So, I've got this one bed here to play with, plus then on the deck I've got the 2 hugel cultures and a couple of grow bags. So I've got the equivalent of, let's say, 4 pots. I forget what I've done that for, times 4 pots, as a little bit of extra growing space. I don't think it's viable for me to grow anything next to the compost heap and the Taunton Dean anymore, because the Taunton Dean's so big. But now, that's it. I've got my plan. I've got a good idea of what I want to grow and where I want to grow it. And now all I have to work out is which varieties, and in particular the climbing beans. And then this bed that I had the experimental bush beans in last year is now freed up for me, and the pots, of course. So I've got a little bit of extra space to experiment with. Plus, in terms of all the cathedral bed teepees, I think this year I could probably do better in that space. Will I try a loofah again? I may well try another loofah, but I will certainly plant it with other things on that same teepee, because in the end, I got one little teeny, tiny, pathetic loofah from it, and that's not a good enough use of my small amount of space. So it may be that I could have some more climbing beans there. It may be that now, as I look through all my packets, I realise I've got some spare squash that I've forgotten about, and maybe I can try a different squash in there, or another squash. We'll see. But for now, that's the easy bit. That's definitely the easy bit. Oh, hang on, I'm going to bring you round again. Yes, that's definitely the easy bit done. So I could do it in a few minutes every single year. The tricky bit now is to get through all of these seeds, see what's what do I need. I'm really hoping this year, hoping that I can do, I want to see if I can do the whole garden without buying any seeds this year. I've got a lot of my own saved seeds, obviously, beans, tomatoes, peppers. The one lot of seeds I don't save each year are the brassicas, because by the time they're flowering and starting to produce the seeds, I need to have them out to plant my next crop there. So I'll definitely, I don't know what's in my box, I might have to be buying some brassica seeds. And just to say, in the plan, what I don't show in my plan is all the brassica sowing. So as I was talking about that thing for when I start planting this autumn for next year, 2021, what comes out next year and what I put in for the summer, it's like always thinking ahead. Of course, a lot of these beds this year will then become brassica beds. So where I've got the onions, for instance, I can't think off the top of my head, but well, you've seen it in my videos over the years how a bed gets emptied and the brassicas go in. So as well as what's in the plan, I'm going to make a note to self, I will do it now, brassicas. Because although they're not drawn on the plan at the moment, they are going to be sown. They'll probably be sown end of March, beginning of April or so. So just to say about the Coco de Pampol very quickly, because I know so many of you are after some of these beautiful, precious seeds. I'm hoping to have a few to sell. Now, I'm not going to be selling them as such. There won't be a cost for the Coco de Pampol. It will just be the postage cost, but it will be a postage cost. In the UK, it's going to be, I think, £3.50. That will cover the postage and then a little bit spare for me. There won't be a huge amount going out, I'm afraid. I'll probably do packets of 20. 20 will be more than enough to get some going for yourselves, for you to then build up your own seed stock. And also, unfortunately, it's going to be limited to UK and European countries only, I'm afraid, just because of the laws of sending seeds all over the world. It's too complicated, and I've tried with a couple of people to get seeds through to them and they've been turned away at customs, and I understand that, I completely understand that, but rather than getting into all of that, because honestly I wouldn't have time to sort out all those problems, I'm so sorry. Just to make it simpler for me, for everyone, it's going to be just UK and Europe. I'll be putting them into my shop, my online shop, but before I do, I will definitely make a little announcement on my Facebook page, and I will try to do it at a time of day. I'll probably try and do it at, say, a 6 o'clock timing, so that wherever people are, everyone's got a fair chance of seeing it when it goes live, as it were, and has a chance to get some. That's the fairest way I can think of doing it. And hopefully that means that some of the Coco de Pampol love can spread a bit further. Yay! There are a couple of you I know who they're already promised to. Don't worry, yours are coming. So, right, like I said, that's the easy bit done. Now it's the tricky bit, going through all these mountains and mountains of seeds. I can't wait, but I think I probably better have a little bit to eat first, because my tummy started rumbling, and it's only 10:30 in the morning. All right, my lovelies, I hope that was useful. I hope it's helpful. If it's not, I hope you just skipped rather than messaging me to tell me what a waste of time and space I am. People do. All right, gorgeousnesses. Take care of yourselves. Happy planning. Happy excitement for a whole new growing year. And until I see you all again, which will be soon, I hope, it's cheerio from me and all my lovely little seeds. Bye for now.